This is Bernie Wall, and in this video I want to share some more IELTS learning tips with you that will help you in your preparation for the exam. And today I want to think about timing in the reading part of the test. Now, many students tell me that they struggle with the time. Generally, I would say that you should make sure you get enough questions correct first and then worry about the time later. But I do realise that for some students who might have a deadline coming up with their exam and they don't have a lot of time to practice, that they haven't got enough time really to bring the timing and the accuracy together. So I want to share with you 5 things that you can do or maybe stop doing to help you manage your time better in the reading. So I'm going to share a little presentation with you and we'll go through these 5 timing strategies for the reading part of the test. So the key thing is to keep on top of the questions so that you don't suddenly find yourself with 5 or 10 minutes left and you haven't even started the 3rd passage, which I know can happen in a lot of cases. So it's keeping on top of the questions. So let's have a look at the first strategy. There is really plenty of time. Now, you may find that hard to believe. You may find in your experience that that's not the case. But the examiners who set the exam, they are not the examiners, they're exam setters. They are very, very experienced people in language examinations, and they know exactly how much time to allow for the questions. And so there should be plenty of time if you have the right level of language for the band that you're going for, and that is where the problems can start to happen. So these are based on the level of English for that score. So if you're going for band 7 and your language is easily at band 7, then you shouldn't have a problem with the timing. But if you are trying to get band 7, but your English level is only 6 or 5.5, then you may well struggle with the timing. So the timings are based on the level of English against the band score that you are looking for. So in actual fact, there is plenty of time, but a lot of it can be wasted through things like panicking and, searching for things without a proper strategy. So you may have to ask yourself, do you need to improve your English? Does your overall English level need to be higher in order to achieve the score that you want? Or do you need to improve your skills and strategies? So it could be that your English is actually fine for that level, but the strategies that you are employing are not helping you to do it in the time. So for example, if you are maybe a band 7 level, but you're trying to read all the passages, then that's going to be tricky and you're going to struggle with the time. So you need to adopt strategies that will help you manage the time well. Okay, the second one, and you've probably heard me and lots of other teachers say this, you have to move quickly. You've got roughly 1 minute per question. And if you start taking longer than that, then you're going to end up in passage 3 with not enough time to answer the questions. So keep going, keep moving. If you can't find a question, then you need to move on. So if you get to a question and you're not sure, just put down what you think it might be and go to the next one, and then try and come back later to check it. There are 3 times when you can come back to a question. Firstly, when you've finished all of the questions, so you might be doing headings. So at the end of the headings, go back and check the ones you're not sure about. Then you can come back at the end of that passage. So if your headings are in passage 1, at the end of passage 1, go back and have another look. And then finally, if you manage your time well and you keep moving, you should have a few minutes at the end of the test to go back and look at any that you're not sure about. But if you use really good strategies and your language is at the right level, you should find that there won't be many of those, maybe 2 or 3. Okay, the third strategy is to use your common sense. Look at the question carefully. Look at the answer that you've chosen. Does it make sense? I find sometimes students trying to squeeze an answer into the question because they happen to have found a keyword that seems to fit. But in actual fact, when they look at it dispassionately, the answer doesn't make any sense. So clearly it cannot be right. Is the answer logical? Again, that's whether it makes sense or not. You should have a little bit of an idea about the passage and some of the logic that goes with it. So is it a logical answer to the question? If it isn't, and if you're worried that it doesn't fit, then are you in the right place? Is there another place where you can find these keywords? Are you using some arbitrary rules? For example, the rule that says the questions come one after another. So are you looking for a question in paragraph 3 and actually the question is in paragraph 1, but because you have a rule that says they're chronological, you're not going to look at paragraph 1 again, which is, I'll talk about rules in a later video, but these kinds of rules do not help you. And what does your instinct tell you? Because quite often students will tell me, I thought that was the answer, but then I decided it couldn't be, with no proper reason. So sometimes you just have to go with your instinct. Number 4, don't be a headless chicken. I don't know if you know this expression, headless chicken, but it's running around with no direction. And a lot of students approach the reading like a headless chicken. Do you have strategy? Do you use keywords? Do you skim? And all of these things. Can you skim? Do you understand what skimming means? Skimming is looking for an overview. So you'll use skimming skills, for example, in headings. But you don't need to skim all the time because it just gives you a rough idea of what the reading is about. Can you scan? Scanning is looking for specific words. Do you know how to do that, and can you do it quickly and effectively? If not, then you need to spend some time on these skills. And can you use keywords? Do you know which keywords are going to help you? Do you know how many keywords you should have for each question? I would say at least 3. But these are strategies that will stop you being a headless chicken and help you to manage the reading. And if you can't use these strategies and you don't know how to do these things, then you need to learn and you need to practice. And be systematic. So the opposite of headless chicken is systematic. So using the strategies will help you go one by one through the questions and don't jump around. Okay, and the last of these timing strategy is make sure the answer fits the question. This is a little bit like the common sense that I mentioned earlier. So does it make sense to you? Or are you trying to squeeze something in because the keyword fits? You might have the wrong keywords. Are you trying to squeeze it into the question and it doesn't really make sense? Do you have enough keywords? I mentioned earlier, I would normally have 3. Sometimes you might have 4. But if you're just going with one keyword, then you might be in completely the wrong place. And if you move to another place in the text, then the answer you might find an answer that makes more sense there. So don't be afraid to go somewhere else. Have you checked these other places? Okay. So today's was quite a short video, and I hope that these strategies will help you. Like all strategies in IELTS, you do need to practice. So understanding and knowing about them is not enough. You will need to go ahead and practice those. You can find an article on this with more information on my website, IELTSlearningtips.com, where you can also find a few free resources and other things there to help you with your IELTS preparation. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.